The Kuvings AUTO10 versus the REVO830. Are you struggling to make a decision? Well, stop. Erase every review and every opinion you've heard or read, because if you genuinely value your happiness like this guy, you'll want to pay attention to what I have to say. I'm about to show you the main differences between these two machines, exactly what you can expect from them, and one simple yet obvious reason why buying either of these might not make sense. But first, let's talk about the parts. The REVO830 has a dual feed chute. One chute has a wide opening for things like whole apples, oranges, and pears, and it comes with this flip cap, which isn't removable and is going to slow you down because you can only feed it one whole fruit or vegetable at a time, while the other feed chute is for things like celery and carrots. The hopper on the AUTO10 has a 3-liter capacity, making it one of the biggest hoppers on the market. With the AUTO10, you can drop in fruits and vegetables, flick the switch, and then walk away. Juicing with the REVO830 is way more tedious and time-consuming because you have to stand next to the machine and feed it produce one by one. The AUTO10 looks identical to the REVO830 from the juicing chamber down. It almost feels like the REVO830 with a hopper slapped on top of it. But there are a few subtle differences between these two. The first is the auger. The auger on the REVO830 is taller and has this thicker chopping mechanism at the top, where the auger on the AUTO10 doesn't. This is because the AUTO10 uses a set of blades which does the chopping for you. Another difference between these are the juicing chambers. The AUTO10 has this mechanism that flips open so you can easily get rid of pulp. With the REVO830, you'll have to manually pluck it out with a brush. This makes it more of a pain to clean. The REVO830 comes with this green cleaning tool which fits over the juicing screen and twists, while the AUTO10's cleaning tool locks into the juicing screen, forcing the bristles into the holes. Personally, I prefer the AUTO10's cleaning tool because it does a better job of removing small specks of pulp. But that's not all. We have to talk about the weight and size of these juicers. Hands down, these are the least portable and most clunky juicers out there. The Kuvings AUTO10 weighs a whopping 16.5 pounds. And surprise, surprise, the REVO830 also weighs 16.5 pounds. Other juicers on the market weigh close to 5 pounds less. Now, this isn't a deal breaker, but it could be for you if you have joint problems or arthritis. And you have to be extra careful when carrying this thing around from countertop to countertop. Each machine also comes with a lot of parts, so if you have limited kitchen space, it's not exactly ideal. Next up, let's talk about the noise. If you live alone, this might not be a problem, but if you live with a partner or kids, I wouldn't overlook this. The REVO830 is about 15 decibels quieter than the AUTO10. According to this app, it's kind of like a soft vacuum cleaner, and at times it can make some seriously irritating screeching noises. So if you have any light sleepers in your family, the AUTO10 could drive them nuts. Now, does the AUTO10 have a better yield, or is the REVO830 better? To find out, I tested these with equal amounts of celery, ginger, oranges, and leafy greens. To start, I measured out 6 ounces of celery for both juicers. Next, I tossed the celery into both machines, closed the lids, and then let them rip. The REVO830 couldn't get it together. Celery got stuck inside the feed chute, and the auger was chopping it at turtle speed. The AUTO10 made quick work of its celery, but you can see some of it got caught on the blades. Time to pour out the REVO830, and we've got 107 milliliters of celery juice. And next, I poured out the AUTO10, and for the AUTO10, we were able to squeeze out 118 milliliters of celery juice. And here's the squeeze test for both machines. For ginger, I measured 1.3 ounces for each juicer. Let's chuck these into the machines and see which one comes out on top. So we've got 30 milliliters of ginger juice for the REVO830, and for the AUTO10, that came out to 36 milliliters. Here's the squeeze test on the Revo, and here's the squeeze test on the AUTO10. Both were wet, but the Revo was way worse. Next up, oranges. We'll measure out 8.5 ounces of oranges and toss them into the machine. That turned out to be 150 milliliters of juice for the REVO830, and for the AUTO10, we were able to squeeze out 158 milliliters of OJ. Here's the squeeze test on the REVO830, and here's the squeeze test on the AUTO10. So both were bone dry for this test. For the leafy greens, I used 2 ounces, which is about a half bag. Let's fire them up and see how they do. So we've got 13 milliliters of green juice with the REVO830, and with the AUTO10, we've got about 26 milliliters of juice. Squeeze test on the Revo, and I couldn't really do a squeeze test on the AUTO10 because all the pulp was stuck on the auger. Both of these choked on leafy greens, but the AUTO10 did a better job. Here's the final scorecard for both juicers. The Auto10 tends to strain more pulled and has a better yield than the Revo in almost every category, so the Auto10 gets the W here. While juice yield is important, everyone seems to complain about this next part. These two machines aren't the fastest and easiest to clean, and like I mentioned, they're big and they're clunky. That means there's more surface area to scrub and rinse out. Check this out. The REVO830 took 1 minute and 33 seconds to clean, and the Auto10 took 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Now, I've owned the REVO830 for years, so to be fair to the Auto10, it took more time to get used to cleaning it. In terms of warranties, Kuvings used to do 10 years on the motor and 2 years on the parts. But after Nama stepped up their game, raising the warranty to 15 years for both, Kuvings did the same. That turned out to be a huge win for people like you and me because the motors on these juicers can last forever, but the parts tend to break more easily. Now, in case you couldn't tell, it makes 0 sense to get the REVO830 over the Auto10. The yield is worse, it's less convenient, and it's just as heavy, and they're both $700. The Auto10 feels like the right choice, but after clicking this video, you'll see why it's probably not.